Burn, it's like I just saw you a couple seconds ago.
Yeah, right? It's like, it was like, there was a basketball game or something. We were there.
I wish I was there, to be honest. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are the Bodacious Rant with Burn and Rye. And, last time we talked about Space Jam, but this time we're going to talk about a trio of movies, a new series that Netflix just dropped. Actually, I think really well. I think this is one of the more interesting things they've done the last couple years. This was the Fear Street Trilogy of movies. Part 1 being in 1994, Part 2 in 1978, and then Part 3 in 1666.
See, what you do is you start at the end, and then you go back to the beginning, and then you go progressively to the end. Maybe taking different characters' perspectives along the way.
Otherwise, it's just a linear story.
It's a little
Just tell us what happened. And Burn, you know what? Let me ask you this: what did you think of those three? Because I'm gonna say I really enjoyed them. I thought it was super fun. I think I just like R.L. Stine's work in general, like with Goosebumps and now these movies. So, what were your thoughts on it? Just curious.
They really just didn't click for me, to be honest. I think a lot of the work that went into making them, like a lot of the technical aspects, were great across the board. I thought they were all shot really well. I thought the costume designs, especially, going from the different eras, starting in the 90s, going to the late 70s, and then back into the early 1600s. I thought they all were done really well. Everything on those aspects worked for me, and I did enjoy the actors too. I did, they use a lot of the same actors for the movies across the different timelines, and so they all get a chance to really flex their acting chops with all these different characters that they play, or different versions of themselves that they play, and I thought they did a really good job too. But I guess just overall, it felt a little bit just not my bag, really. I think the slasher genre is one that's really hard to get right, and I think these three movies, I think they fell into a little bit of the amateurish sides of the genre tropes, and that was a little bit disappointing because it looked like a lot of effort went into making them, and it just, for me, there were a lot of things that they did that I just couldn't forgive, to be honest.
Okay, I guess that's fair. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not disappointed, but. No, I know. It's totally okay. I know horror is one of those things, especially when it comes to certain genres within horror. It's either you kind of have to love it, or you may not at all. Or it's
like comedy. Everybody has their preferences in horror, and I know you and I have like a lot of conversations about about comedy and horror and how they're very much alike each other. Where it's a lot of setup and payoff. And yeah, it's just the slasher genre for me has not been a particular genre that I enjoy of horror. So I'm gonna be completely upfront with that. So maybe that's what played into me not really enjoying it so much.
Totally fair. And why I really also kind of like these is I liked how they released within weeks of each other.
That was cool.
Like, I thought that was a really smart drop where it's like, oh yeah, first one, week or two later, second one, and then this last one just came out this most recent Friday. So, and for me, like I said, I personally liked them because I like the blend of like teen/adult horror and then the slasher and stuff. It's very much R.L. Stine, but also mixed with like Stranger Things, and I guess if I had to, like Scream and stuff. It's a little hard to compare just because it encompasses many aspects of horror when it comes to the villains and the monsters and stuff. So, like I said, I was really into it. I thought the cast was really solid. Specifically, like the main character, Dina, who is played by Kiana Madeira. I hope I'm saying that correct. I thought she was a really fun and interesting character. I don't want to spoil it too much for anybody. I know it's on Netflix, but I do want you guys to go and watch this. And then it had some cool cameos in it, like Maya Hawke, which is also in the first one. I'm like, oh my god, it's like Stranger Things, just because she's a great actress. But overall, I really liked the time jumps, especially the first one. The first one's my favorite part, just because the 90s, and I was kind of like, oh my god, I remember some of that a little bit. Like, when internet was barely a thing, I didn't get it as a kid, and it's just kind of funny seeing how it's such a new thing to them. There's no cell phones around, so we just had to call people at each other's houses like, hey, do you know what's going on? It's like, no, I'm not even there. I thought there were a lot of aspects. I'm like, flash down memory lane. So I really liked that part of it. And I know the first one's my favorite one, but overall, I'm gonna give the series like a 3.5 out of 5, just because as much as I enjoyed them, there were like, especially second and third one, I was like, this is dragging on a little too much. Let's get to it. Let's speed this along, shall we?
Yeah.
And so it was a little bit boring, but overall it was still fun to watch, especially if you're in the mood for like a good horror movie. And there were a lot of funny moments in these movies too. So I definitely say they're worth it for sure.
Yeah, I mean, for me, they all have a lot of like pretty glaring issues. The first two in particular, 94 and 1978, I feel like the soundtracks that they used in those movies were done in I've said before, in a really amateurish way, where within the same scene there's like different songs of the era that they just get mashed into the movie, and it feels like they're not done with any sort of artistic integrity. They're just like, okay, this is the music of the era, we're just gonna throw it in there. And I felt like they were trying to like put as much as, it's like they were trying to break a record or something for as much songs that they can throw into like one scene. I felt
that a little bit with the second and first one.
Yeah,
where it's like, why do we have to change songs? I was trying to enjoy the first one, and now it's like, oh yeah, fast forward to another one. It's like, okay, that's a little, and that's why I think it kind of felt boring, because it was like almost too fast paced, where it's like there's so much going on. Like, this is it. This is how long this is taking. Like, come on, get to it now.
Yeah, and then there were just points in the movie where I felt like it was a little bit like unnecessarily mean spirited. Like, of course it's a slasher movie and it does star kids, but I mean, some of these kids really, really get brutally like massacred.
They
and
got
I was just
fucked up.
And I was just like, oh my gosh. I know some people will like see that and be like, oh man, that was like such a great kill. But for me, I was just kind of like, this is fucked up. Like, I don't find this like enjoyable at all. Like, they went a little bit too far in those aspects for me, where it's like maybe a director or someone with like a little bit more skill. It's a lot of what really works with horror is like sometimes the restraint. Like knowing when to like let the audience just fill in the gaps, and that makes it a little bit more scarier, I think, sometimes. And I felt like there was like sometimes it was a little bit too much in your face. So I was like, okay, you can like dial it back just a little bit on that end. So that's what like the stuff that kind of like particularly rubbed me the wrong way. And then like you said, it just kind of does overstay its welcome. Maybe it was the fact that I didn't watch it as they came out. I just kind of like binged all three of them sort of back to back with this one, the most recent one, 1666 coming out, and catching that one on release. But it's just like it feels like the overarching story kind of just like drags its feet across these like 6 hours, and it's just like once I got to the last one, I was just like, once I hit the halfway point, I was like, oh my gosh, like.
You were texting me, you're like, dude, this is so hard to watch. I'm like, you're almost there, Bern, just keep going.
Yeah, it's like
just chug on through, man.
I was like, man, like we did not need to spend that much time on like this part of the story. Like, I kind of wanted like things to wrap up. So yeah, for me, it's a 2 out of 5. Like, again, the technical aspects were really well done, and I just felt like maybe in the hands of a more capable like director, it would have I think it would have like landed a little better for me. But the release schedule, like you said, it was pretty cool. I was reading recently that it was intended to come out in theaters, and it was supposed to release like one every month, sequentially. But I think it works better like this. I think to me these felt like movies that were meant for streaming. And I think the way Netflix handled them really made an event out of the whole thing, and I think that was like it was really cool. Like even if I didn't enjoy the movies particularly, I enjoyed the sort of the event. This summer like horror fest. It's kind of like its own festival, and that was kind of cool. I'll say that.
Yeah, before we finish up, I do agree with you. There were some, especially in the first one, a couple of the main characters when they got killed off, I was like, as cool as that was, like, why? Like, they had such good arcs, and then it's just like, we kill them off just for the sake of it. Mm-hmm. The third one, I agree with whoever died, because that shit needed to happen. It was kind of like, it played for the story.
Yeah.
And then the second one, it was a bit of a filler. I'm not gonna lie. The second one, but there even then, a couple side characters I got killed off in the second one. Again, like, what the fuck? Like, why did this need to happen? Like, this is too gruesome, like, for me to get into it. I just feel bad, but
yeah, it's like a lot of these, you know, I mean, the cast is predominantly children. You know, it's like, man, they really don't deserve that. Some of the kills, I'm like, ooh.
But R.L. Stine has always been like, as like a teen, like, children's, like, horror writer. So I guess it still works for that. And I guess if I was a little kid, this shit would freak me out.
True.
Not gonna lie.
Very true.
This is like a kid's version of Scream and The Conjuring rolled into one. So, if you got little kids at home, I don't know, maybe don't show them this because there are some adult themes.
Maybe don't show them this, for sure.
But overall, like I said, you know, it's still worth the watch in my opinion. It's on Netflix, all 3 of them, so you can binge it like Burn said, or maybe break it up like once a night or even once a week. I think it definitely works better for these movies to be spaced out. I definitely couldn't, as much as I like these, I couldn't sit through a whole day of watching these unless I'm so bored I'm gonna lose it. But that's all I'm gonna say for this one. And you know, coming up we got, you know, Snake Eyes this week. We got you know, Marvel's What If next month, and I can't. There's a bunch of movies I just can't think of it, but at least the summer's here, so we're getting a lot of content.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff every week, and you know, like we've said before, we got a lot to talk about. So definitely tune in to hear our thoughts on the other stuff, because we're going to talk about it regardless.
Absolutely, and you guys know the drill. Leave in the comments if you've seen these movies, or if you have any questions on them. We'll try and answer them for you. But you know, again, I don't want to spoil anything for you, so go check them out. And Burn, I will talk to you later, my dude.
All right, man. I'll see you all on the next one. You know, everybody out there, be good, be safe, and just make sure you lock your doors, because you don't want to get murdered by any crazy monsters out there.
Don't go anywhere near a place called Shady Side. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, if there's a town with a sketch name, maybe just don't. Just don't.
Yeah, seriously. Shady is the key word in there, but peace out, my brother.
Adios, man.